Hey friends, it's Carrie from Stretch Cheap. We're going to start in about 10 minutes. So if you're watching this after the fact and like pre-recorded, just fast forward 10 minutes ahead. For the rest of you, sit tight for a second. We'll start at about 9 o'clock. All right, see you soon. Hello, friends. It's Carrie from Stretch Chi. We're going to have stretching class this morning. Now, if any of you were on my live stream yesterday, I have decided that I needed a little bit more of a challenge than just, talking to my computer. And I mean, I love getting insight from you guys. You can always chime in the chat if you're watching live to tell me like how you're feeling or if there's anything specific you want to work on. Sometimes I just work on things that are hurting in my body, but since I'm stretching all the time, not much is hurting. So I don't have that much to work on. So I decided to challenge myself in a little bit of a different way. And so I got these cards online. They're yoga exercise cards by a company called New Me Fitness. See, I put the link in my bio below. They make yoga cards, they make stretching cards, they make Pilates cards. They're kind of cool. They have a lot of different things. And then you can make your own routines. But what I think is kind of fun is that we can like pick a card. And I don't do yoga. This isn't yoga. But we can pick a card and then Ki-Hara, that yoga pose, do a bunch of problem solving, and then see if we can find some more games. So that's kind of cool. The other thing that I've been feeling kind of like I've been wanting to do is pick a few cards that we can set intentions for. Now, in the body, mind, spirit connection, we have like our physical body, we have our emotional body, we have our mental, like the thoughts in our head, and then we also have like the spiritual aspect of ourself. So we're going to look at our physical body with these cards. And then I also have these cards, which are the Zen Osho cards. I also have the link for these in my bio if you guys are interested in them. Or just, to give them a shout out from copyright. Osho is this like guru-y guy who's a little off the charts, but his cards are really cool, and I really like the messages that come through on them. So we'll pick a few cards for those too to focus on our emotions, on our mental awareness, and also like what our ego is telling us, and then also a little bit on spirituality. So if you want to jump into that mix, we're going to add that in too. Or you can just stretch because stretching's fun, and you can take all the other stuff and throw it out the window because who cares, right? It's all good stuff. So I'm just going to let a card fly out and we'll see. Oh, interesting. We got cow pose, which is a back bend. I have some really interesting stuff for this actually. So we can work through how to do cow pose. Now, you might be like, I can totally do cow pose, but can you Ki-Hara cow pose? Not so much, right? I mean, you can. We're going to try. So this is going to be our physical challenge for today, a little cow pose. That'll be kind of fun. And now let's pick a card for our, whoa, hey, they just off that. That's too many. We're going to pick a card for our ego, mental, what's running through our heads, and see if we can process some of that stuff. Guilt. That's crazy. That's totally a in your head kind of thing. It's about like feeling trapped and wanting to like feel like you're tied up in something. So we can approach that a little bit today and see what comes up. And how about for our emotions? This one is awareness. This one is about finding out who's really deep inside of you. This is good for our emotions. What do we need to be aware of? That's kind of fun. And let's pick one more. This is for like your higher self. Laziness. This one in the traditional tarot card is the Nine of Cups. So it's basically like having everything you need and feeling pretty good about that. So that's kind of funny. I always think it's kind of a funny card because in the regular tarot deck, it's like all your wishes are fulfilled. And in this one, it's kind of like the guy's like, ignoring the rest of the world. So that's kind of funny. Okay, so we're going to go ahead and dive into our cow pose and see how that feels for you. And then we'll go ahead and Ki-Hara that mess and see what happens, okay? So let me get my Camera set up for the mat. Let me just double check that to make sure you can see it all okay. All right. If you're watching live, please say hi. If you're watching pre-recorded and it's still within the 9 to 10 o'clock hour, then skip ahead so that you can communicate with us live. Because if you put in comments and you're not watching live, then I won't get them. I'll only get them if you're watching live. So go ahead and speed up, because if you miss a couple stretches, who cares? You can do them later, or you just skip them today. But just pretend like you just joined class and you walked in late. It's totally fine. So go ahead and jump ahead and say hi. I'd love to hear from you guys. I'd love to see who's here. I also am really interested in what's going on with you and your bodies. So if there's anything specific that you want to work on, let me know. Also, if we're ever working on a stretch and you're like, I need another variation of this one, like I can't do this pose, then let me know that too, and we'll work through it, okay? All right, so we're gonna start off with this cow pose and see what this means for you. Let's see what we're gonna explore today and what this will feel like for you. So you're gonna get on all fours, let your feet be flat, your hands right under your shoulders, and then you just drop your belly down. Your pelvis is gonna turn so that you're in an anterior tilt. That means that the front of your pelvis comes forward, sort of like if you had a bowl and you were tipping the bowl forward. So your pelvis tilts forward, you're gonna lift your head up, a little bit of extension in your spine. This is called cow pose. Now just notice in this pose what you feel as you hold it here. Do you feel any pain in your wrists, in your shoulders? Do you feel tightness in your shoulders? Do you feel anything in your upper back here? Does your neck feel sore? Do you feel it more lower in through this part of your back? Can you tell exactly where you're stuck in your back? Like, where do you feel like you can't drop from? Like, I feel a little stuck up here around my rib cage in the back. What about your legs and your knees? What do those feel like? Do you feel like you can be on your knees? Do you feel like you are having tightness through your hamstrings or like in your low back, like around your sacrum? Now also, another thing that's interesting is having your feet flat on the floor. Does this feel comfortable to you, or do you feel like you have to have your feet up like this? Where are they right now? Like, did you, when I said, like, what about your feet? Did you go, oh, right, like this? Do you feel a little bit of like cramping or pain in the bottom of your foot here? Do you feel pain here? Do you feel like you just don't feel like you can put your feet down on the ground flat? Like, what does that feel like for you? So take a second and just notice what your body feels like. So I feel here, I feel a little bit of low back pain. I definitely feel some tension in the front of my shins, like in the front of my ankles. I feel a little bit of wanting to cramp in my feet. My neck feels a little tired. So take note, what do you feel? What does this feel like for you? Right? And then let's play around with it. So what we're gonna do is we're gonna start off by moving in and out of cow pose and going into cat pose, which is the opposite of cow pose. So if we start here on all fours with a neutral spine, and we push our hands into the ground and we push our feet into the ground, you want to put like a load in your spine in a way that feels like you're gonna have a pyramid of cheerleaders stand on top of you. So you're like at the base of the pyramid, and people are gonna jump on top, not jump, but one by one, people are gonna get on top of you, and you have to be strong the whole time. So find that strength. And as you find that strength, push yourself up into cat pose. Let your head drop down. As you do this, you get a posterior tilt in your pelvis, so your tailbone goes down and the back of your pelvis comes up. And then keep that resistance, but very slowly drop your belly down towards the floor. Tilt your pelvis the opposite direction, so an anterior tilt, and look up. So you get a spinal extension. And then the other way to go into flexion, pushing through your hands, lifting the pyramid of cheerleaders up off the ground, and then slowly dropping down like those pyramid of cheerleaders are too heavy for you and you're almost going to break, but then you don't because you push them right back up. And just notice what this feels like for you as you're moving back and forth. Now remember, you only want to move in the ranges that feel good to you while you're doing this method of stretching. Your body will tell you exactly what it needs. It will tell you exactly what it wants to do, and you can start and stop depending on where your body feels like it wants to put on the brakes. So if you're only moving a little bit, that's okay. If you're moving a lot, that's okay. It's really just up to you, okay? All right. Now I want to go a little bit further into this pose, and we're going to go back and forth in a downward dog type stretch and see if we can get that same kind of spinal extension. Okay, so we're going to start on all fours. Tuck your toes this time and come up to straight legs. See if you can find straight legs. Then push with your feet so that you come all the way up onto your toes. Then use your arms to push you down so that you bring your heels down to the floor and tuck your chin, arch your back up a little bit, like that same feeling of cat pose. Then as you come forward, come up onto your toes and let your spine turn like you're doing cow pose. And then you just go back and forth. Push back onto your heels, arch your back up towards the ceiling like cat pose. Come forward, look forward, like I'm looking at my coffee cup, and that gives me that cow pose spinal extension, and I can come up onto my toes, and then down for your stretch. If this is too intense on your wrists, you can come down onto your knees and do the same motion where you come down and push to the floor, lifting your spine up, and then as you come forward, find your cow pose. Back and forth. This is a really nice and gentle movement if you let it be. So pay attention to what your body feels like and what feels good to you. Just remember, always move, always resist, and if anything hurts, skip that stretch. Just stop. You don't need to do it, okay? Just skip it. It's okay. We'll come back to it. You do class tomorrow, we'll do the same stretches, most likely, and you can access it that time. Every time you try it out, see how it goes. If your body says like, then listen to your body, because your body knows better than your brain does as far as what's supposed to happen. Believe me. And then one day, all the little locks will all unlock. It's like your body's like a clock full of gears, and those gears are all spinning and they're all like clicking and they're going back and forth, and everything's working in relation to everything else. And sometimes all it is like one little speck of sand that stops everything, and then all of a sudden you're all locked up. And all we have to do is find that little grain of sand, and most likely that grain of sand is not going to be in the stretch that feels bad. It'll be in the stretch that feels good, right? So imagine like when you're pulling out the tension of the muscle, if you pull out that one little piece of sand, then all of a sudden all the gears go click and everything starts working again. That's what we want, right? And that only comes when the stretch feels good. So if you're not feeling good, don't even bother. Don't do it. Promise? Okay, good. Now we're going to go into a stretch for the back of your shoulders. And this one brings us into our emotional body. So we're going to work a little bit through awareness on this one. So first I want to think about physical awareness. What do you feel in your body? So find a seat in a way that feels comfortable to you, whether you're sitting on your knees or cross-legged or on a chair even. You could even stand up to do this stretch. Just find a place that feels really safe to you. Then bring your hands together, interlock your fingers, and bring your thumbs right over your head. Now what you'll do here is try to squeeze your elbows together so that you get a stretch in the back of your shoulders, and then you open your arms up for strength training. When you close, it's like you're trying to pop a balloon between your arms. The resistance here is a little funny, but it's really just kind of gravity, so you don't even really have to think about it. Just make sure that there's effort. And so as I'm opening here, my shoulder blades are coming together. And as I close here, my shoulder blades open up and I feel a stretch in the back of my shoulders here. If this doesn't feel good, start first by moving in small ranges of motion. If it still doesn't feel good, just skip this stretch. So if you're just moving this far, it's okay. It's totally fine. But you should feel it in the back of your shoulders. And if you don't feel that, let it go. All right? Now, if this does feel good, you can put your awareness on awareness, right? Where is your strength coming from? From an emotional level. Where do you feel like you could unlock? What emotions do you feel in your body right now? I think it's really interesting to take a second and process, like, okay, what do I feel emotionally? Like, I feel this in the back of my shoulders, but like, what do I actually feel right now? I feel more connected because here we are live, right? Than I do regularly. So I'm feeling this connectedness. I'm feeling that as an emotion. So what are you feeling when you do this stretch? And maybe it's not good for you. Maybe this stretch brings up some frustration or anger, or maybe it brings up some like feelings of sadness. Who knows? I mean, it could bring up a lot of things. So take a second and feel that emotion and allow it to be there, because by stretching, you're going to bring that emotion up into your awareness. Once it's there, then you can decide to let it go, right? So when you feel that, be aware of it, accept that it's part of this stretch for right now and may not be later, because you can let it go, right? All right, so now let's move on to the top of our shoulders. Bring this right arm into the side and grab your wrist with the other hand, and then you're going to try to pull both arms apart. This is going to access the top of your muscles here, your deltoid, the top of your shoulders, on your right side. You're going to push up for strength, and then use your left arm to pull you back down. This is your stretch. You can bring your head to the side and find the stretch in your neck right here on the right side. If you feel it on the left side, just switch sides. It's totally fine. See if you can find the stretch, access it, and maybe even make it a little more intense if it feels good. So down for the stretch, keep your fingers really open wide, and bring your head to the side, maybe a little nod back and forth. And see how that stretch feels for you. Really pay attention to the sensation of stretch. See if you can find this stretch from your ear all the way down to your fingertips. Up for strength and down for stretch. Now, sometimes people don't think that these stretches affect the other stretches, but when you are in cow pose and your hands are in front of you this way, this muscle can get in the way. It can kind of jam up in there. So we want to make sure that we get this really stretched out so that this muscle knows its place, knows where it's supposed to be. We can remove any little grains of sand that might be stuck in there, so that when you go into that downward dog position or back into cow pose, that it removes this tension from the top of your shoulder. Now bring your left arm into the side and grab your wrist with your right hand. Resist like you're pulling both arms apart. Push up for strength, and then use your top arm to push you back down. As you get down to the bottom, bring your head over to the right this time, and see if you can find that stretch on the left side of your body through your neck and the top of your shoulder. If you don't feel that, again, just skip the stretch. It's totally fine to skip. You do what you need to do, right? Or you can also move in smaller ranges of motion, and that would mean like maybe moving like this. That would be okay. As many repetitions as you feel like doing, just let your body tell you when to stop. You could also not put your neck into it if your neck doesn't feel like stretching today. Just like this. Okay? So you can just choose what feels right to you, or you could do a combination of all of them and see. And then if you want to stretch your neck, you just get in there. Bring your head over, this time to the right side. right? As I'm stretching my left arm, I want to pull my head to the right because that brings this muscle as far away from my elbow as it can, and that stretches out that whole line. If you nod your head a bit, it's going to get the fascia stretch, and that's going to wrap around a little bit more. So pay attention and play around to see what feels good to you. I could do this one all day, I think. It feels so good. Okay, now we're going to go into a stretch for our lats. I want to come back onto our knees this time. And, oh no, you know what? Can that. We're going to work on our forearms here. This is in the same bucket of stretches. It still grabs the same group. This one gets your wrists and forearms, which is great for all of you who are working from home on your laptops and your ergonomics are all screwy. I get it. So you're going to turn your fingers so that they face your knees and come down to the floor. Now you can decide how far away you want to be. The closer you are to your knees, I think it might be less intense. The further away, the more intense. You can play around and see where you find the easiest place for you. So just wherever your hands want to go. If this is uncomfortable and you cannot get down to your wrists, it's okay to just push your fingers down into the mat. Just keep your weight on your knees. So it's okay to be in this position. Does that make sense? I hope so. So then from here, what you'll do is push your fingertips down into the mat and then very slowly sit back and then pretend like you're trying to flip your hands the other way, and that will pull you forward. Your legs are helping a lot in this one to protect your wrists, so just do what feels good, okay? So forward for strength and back for stretch. Now, if this feels really good and you want to go a little deeper into the stretch, as you come forward, go ahead and shift your weight onto the palm of your hands, bend your elbows, and let your body come forward so that your feet pop up. And then push through your hands to bring your feet back and to come into the stretch. You'll get a little more of an intense stretch that way because you'll be accessing more muscle. You'll be using more resistance. Just make sure it feels good to you. Now this stretch lines up in our spiritual stretch group. So our spiritual card was the laziness card. So think about, as you're doing this stretch, what kind of things during lockdown are you really indulging in? In a good way and a bad way, right? I'll tell you, my vice, my quarantine vice, is popcorn and Hershey Kisses. And I actually braved the grocery store yesterday because I thought for sure if I didn't have Hershey Kisses that my arms would just fall right off of my body. I was like, I'm gonna die. I put on the mask, I had all the hand sanitizer just to buy chocolate. So think about, like, what is your vice? What is blocking you? It doesn't have to be blocking you, but what is that thing that you're indulging in? And is it serving you? Sometimes it is serving me to have Hershey Kisses. But eating popcorn and Hershey Kisses for dinner last night was probably not the greatest idea. So that to me is a laziness thing that I'm indulging. And because of that, I didn't eat healthy food last night for dinner. And that's not really good for my soul. So think about it. What are you indulging in? I know during this lockdown, a lot of people are indulging in alcohol. And is that helpful for you? Is that serving you? Could you indulge in something else that would be better for you? Like maybe meditation or going for a walk or doing stretching class, right? What could you indulge in that's not so lazy? Something to think about. Not to put it on you like that, but just something to think about, right? Now, I want to go back and check out our downward dog stretch again. Now remember, you can do this on your knees and just push back into the stretch and come forward, or you can go onto your toes and come up for strength and down for stretch, bringing your head through. As you do this, think about pushing your spine up towards the ceiling, almost like if somebody was standing on your back and you were trying to push them over. And then as you push back, pretend like someone's pushing on your spine. and you're coming down onto your heels. As you come forward this time, look up towards the front of your mat. Let your spine round like you're doing a back bend almost. And then push back up and push your spine towards the ceiling, down towards your toes or your heels towards the floor. And then up for strength, pushing, 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 and your head comes forward, looking up. And then you use your arms to push you back down onto your heels. Good job, guys. Okay, now I want to access our hip flexors because the hip flexors are really going to help you get into this tilt with your pelvis, right? And part of the cow pose, cat pose thing is that you need to be able to do this kind of tilt with your pelvis. That is like this kind of pelvic thrust, or like coming forward this way or coming back this way. So it's like taking a bowl and pouring out the contents of the bowl, or tilting the bowls to pour the contents out backwards, right? So let's come into a lunge position with your right leg in the front and your left leg behind. Take your right leg and try to kick yourself in the butt. So you're going to engage your hamstring, but your mat's in the way, so it's just going to engage. So it's like I'm trying to pull, but the mat is stopping me from pulling. When you do that, your back leg's going to answer that by trying to kick forward. So it's like I'm trying to pull my knee towards my nose. When I do that, I'm going to let my front leg pull me forward. And as I pull forward, I want to stretch out this muscle right in the front of my left hip. So I'm going to tuck my tailbone and pull forward. And then as you pull back, you're going to let your back leg pull you back. And you can let your spine kind of come back a little bit. So you're going to do more of an anterior tilt on the way down. And then on the way forward, posterior tilt. That means tailbone down, back of the pelvis comes backwards. And then as you come back, let your pelvis tilt so that the bowl turns forward and the top of your pelvis spills over. And as you come back again, we're going to turn the bowl this way and then this way. So you can feel this part of your spine moving and turning. Only move in the range that feels good to you. And if you can't find this pelvic tilt, that's okay. Just move back and forth. Don't worry about it. The important thing is that you feel this right here in the front of your hip. And then you can shift to the emotions in this stretch if you feel like you want to. What does this feel like to you? What emotion are you having as you do this stretch? Are you feeling good? Are you feeling happy? Are you feeling relief? Are you feeling frustration? Are you feeling anger? Are you feeling confused? That could happen too. So bring that feeling to your awareness so that you can decide what to do with it. And just let it be there. Who cares if you feel frustrated right now, right? Just be with that frustration. Accept it. And realize that as we get out of this stretch, it's going to go away. Right? So be with it for right now. Bring that to your awareness so that it can break free and get out of there. Sometimes that frustration has nothing to do with this stretch. Sometimes it's been there for a long, long time. Let's do one more stretch. Pulling back for strength and forward for your stretch. Oh boy. Okay. Now, bring your right leg behind and your left leg in the front. Again, you're going to try to kick back with your left leg to engage the hamstring here. And your right leg is going to answer by trying to pull forward. Use your left leg to pull you into this stretch. You'll feel the stretch in the front of your right hip. And then use your right leg to pull you back. And if you want to think about this as like a tilting pelvis tilt, so I've got my coffee cup. If I come forward, I want to think about my pelvis, if it was the coffee cup, as pouring the water on me, or pouring the coffee on me this way. So everything's tilting backwards. And then as I come forward, my pelvis is going to turn so that I pour the water onto the floor. And as you come back, your pelvis tilts and comes back. And as you go forward, as you go into the stretch, your pelvis tilts back And as you come into the strength training portion, then your pelvis will tilt forward. It's very confusing for me. You're going opposite directions. It makes sense though, because if you want to stretch, you want to go in the opposite mode. You want this muscle to be as short as possible. And here it is, very short in the front of your hip. And as you come forward and you tuck your pelvis, you're pulling your spine away from the front of your leg, and you're getting this stretch through the psoas muscle in the front of your hip. Back for strength and forward for stretch. And again, take note of your awareness. What do you feel in your emotions right now? What can you bring to your awareness as far as your emotions go with this stretch? It might feel different on this side. It's always funny to me that like one side can feel one emotion and the other side can feel a different emotion totally. So, see what comes up for you. It might be really cool. And bring that to your awareness. And let it be there. So if you feel really angry, if you feel frustrated, if you feel mad at me, if you feel thirsty, whatever, it doesn't matter. Take that emotion and sit with it while you do this stretch. Let it be there. And realize that when the stretch is over, that emotion's going to go away. All right. Okay. Now it's time to work on our hamstrings. The hamstrings bring us into more of a mental place. The idea behind this is that it goes from the back of your legs up your spine and into your brain. So we have a little bit of a mental stretch in this one, which is kind of cool. Now our mental card that we drove for today was guilt. Guilt is this feeling of like being trapped in your mind, being trapped in your feelings, feeling upset, feeling like maybe you've done something wrong, or maybe you're not doing enough, or maybe you're you're being too lazy, right? You're drinking wine, you feel guilty. So think about it as you're doing the stretch. If the stretch feels good, bring that to your awareness and then see what happens. Right? So lay on your back. If you want, you can wrap a towel around your foot, or you can grab the ball of your foot with both hands, and we're going to stretch out these hamstrings. So you'll kick with your heel down towards your butt, engaging your hamstring. Your arms are going to fight you the whole time, and then your arms will pull you up into the stretch to get the stretch through your hamstring right in the back of your leg right here. Kicking down for strength and up for stretch. Good, good, good. Down for strength and up for stretch. And if the stretch feels good, just take a second and think about, like, okay, what am I feeling a bit guilty about? What do I feel? I read this book a while ago that was so good. It's by Gabor Mate. It's called When the Body Says No. It's a lot about autoimmune diseases, and it's very fascinating. But one sentence that like slapped me in the face was he said that when you hold guilt, you can let guilt go. That's easy. That's on you. Resentment, though, is when like you resent somebody or you resent something and you put it on somebody outside of you, and it's kind of outside of your control. So he said, when you have the option to choose between feeling guilty or feeling resentment, always choose guilt, because you can let that go. Resentment is very hard to let go. So if you're finding yourself resenting something, this might be a place for you to choose guilt instead, and then see how you can let that go. It's, I don't know, just something that came up in my brain right now. So take a second and think about that. Are you feeling resentment? It could be that you resent your work situation right now. You resent certain commitments that you've made. Maybe you resent certain people for certain things. If you could let go of that resentment and accept the guilt of maybe letting somebody down or doing something that inconveniences other people, maybe that's what you need to do. And so for your hamstring, kick down for strength, then pull up for your stretch. You should feel this right down the back of your leg. Down for strength and up for stretch. It's kind of an interesting concept, isn't it? No need to feel resentment, you guys. Choose guilt and then let that go. Down for strength and up for stretch. It fascinates me, to be honest, because I feel like one of the things that's really becoming apparent during this lockdown is the need to really take care of ourselves, to nurture ourselves, to make choices that are good for us specifically, and so I think it's a good time to face those kind of things. Like what have you been holding as a resentment in your life, and how can you let that go? Right? I mean, I can't tell you how many times I have made commitments to people because I feel like I would let them down otherwise, to the extent of my own health, right? So, let it go. I have to say, I took a week off of stretching and I felt, of classes and everything, and I felt kind of guilty about it, but I needed it. And it's healthier for me and better for you guys if I would have taken that time off and felt a little guilty than had I done the classes and felt resentful, right? Yeah, so anyway, that's good stuff. All right, now we're going to go into a stretch for the back of your hips. This is for your glutes, right through here. So you're going to go into a figure 4 stretch. So lay on your back, bring your right leg on top of your left leg, and reach through and grab your hands, interlock your fingers behind your left leg. So I'm actually threading the needle right through where my right leg makes that figure 4. And then I'm going to push with my right leg like I'm trying to get my right leg out to the side, like I'm trying to match what my left leg is doing. From here, you keep pushing out with your right leg and fight with your arms to come all the way out, and then pull in for your stretch. And you just go back and forth, out for strength and in for stretch. You should feel this in the outside of your right hip, in your glutes. It might feel kind of intense. This stretch also is a mental stretch, so you can stick in that same idea of guilt and resentment. Because we're holding this in a different muscle group, you might notice some other thoughts come up. So just be aware of what comes out as you put that in your awareness. And of course, make sure the stretch feels good to you. Work in small ranges of motion if you want, like just from here to here is okay. If you just feel like you want to focus on stretching, that's okay. Don't worry about it. You don't have to feel guilty about it. Let it go. So push out for strength and pull in for your stretch. All right, and when you're ready, we're going to go ahead and switch sides. So bring your left leg on top of your right leg. Reach through and grab your right leg with both hands. Push out for strength and pull in for your stretch. Again, you should feel the stretch in the outside of your hip, this time on the left side. So it'll be right here through the outside of your hip, in your glutes. You pull in for stretch and out for strength. And a nice back and forth to get a good stretch through your glutes. Good work, guys. So you should feel this in the outside of your hips. Move in small ranges of motion. If that's all you feel like doing today, that's all right. And just go back and forth. Out for strength and in for stretch. All right, guys. Now, lay on your back. Bring your feet up towards the ceiling and grab your knees on the inside. Just squeeze your legs together for strength and use your arms to open wide. Pull in for strength and then pull open for your stretch. This is an inner thigh stretch, so you should feel this right here. So pay attention to the feeling of that stretch. Make sure that it feels good to you. If it doesn't, go ahead and skip this stretch or maybe do some problem solving. You can always check out my other videos. I have tons of instructional videos on all of these stretches. I also have problem solving videos for every single muscle group, so you can do a little extra work if you want to get some more mobility through here, or it just feels like you can't quite access it in the right way. And then this stretch brings us into our emotional world, so you can think about what emotions you're feeling now in this stretch. Bring it to your awareness and let your body process it through your muscles. In for strength and open for your stretch. Let's do one more. In for strength and open for stretch. Nice work, guys. Now we're going to go back to our hip flexor stretch to see if we can get a little bit more of this movement in through our pelvis, to see if we can unlock the hips a little bit and get that posterior and anterior tilt a little bit more. Now if you want, you can put a towel under your knee if you need it. So on my back leg, I would put a towel here or pillow or something to make sure that I feel really stable. Pull with your front leg to bring that leg back, and then take your back leg and try to pull it forward. And as you pull forward into this stretch, you should feel this in your back leg and the hip. Do a little posterior tilt of your pelvis, so you're going to go ahead and tuck your tailbone under while the top comes up. And then as you come back, you rotate the other way. So here my pelvis tips back, and here my pelvis will tilt forward, my tailbone comes a little out this way, the top of my pelvis comes this way. And then as I come back, my tailbone is going to tuck under, the top of my pelvis is going to pull back. So back for strength and forward for stretch. Nice, guys. Now let's go ahead and do the other side. So you're going to bring your left leg, this is my left leg, whichever one you weren't doing, bring it behind your other leg in the front. You're going to try to pull back with that front leg to engage your hamstrings. And then from here, go ahead and pull together with both legs. Use your front leg to pull you forward, and as you do that, tilt your pelvis so that your tailbone comes under. And then when you come back the other way, as you pull it towards the back wall, your tailbone will come out. And you just go back and forth. So you may notice here that your spine feels flat, and you may notice here that your spine feels curved. And so you're going back and forth in those directions. Your front leg is pulling you this way. Your back leg is pulling you that way. And if you don't like this pelvic tuck, it's okay, just don't do it. Just do what feels good to you. You just go back and forth. So back for strength and forward for stretch. Let's do one more. Good. And now, let's go ahead and try out again our cow pose. So bring your hands down under your shoulders. Your feet flat, maybe they feel a little bit more comfortable after we did all that calf work on our downward dog. Your wrists probably feel a little bit better after we stretched out your wrists a bit. And from here, we're going to work on that tuck of your pelvis that we were just doing. So think about tipping the cup forward, and then think about turning it the other way. So like if the water was going to spill out the back. And then the other way. So you tip, and then you tip the other direction. So here my tailbone is coming down under the back of my pelvis, or the top of my pelvis is tipping this way. And then as I come down, I'm going to spill out the top. And you just go back and forth. Now you can also notice in this one where you feel locked up now. What does this feel like to you? Where are you feeling still a little bit locked up? I'm feeling a little bit behind my shoulder blades still, so maybe we'll pay attention to that next. See how that works out. All right, so let's go ahead into a seated position. Bring your right arm up like you're pulling a train whistle and grab the outside of your elbow with your opposite hand, and you're going to try to pull both arms apart. Push open for strength towards the right, and then pull across for your stretch, this time to the left. Now you can sit however you feel comfortable in this one. I like to sit on my knees, just who I am. You can sit however you want. If this hurts your knees, do not sit this way. Sit in a chair, it's fine. Stand up, doesn't matter. You're at your house, do what you want, right? Now you should feel this stretch in the back of your shoulder. It should go right through here. If you don't feel that, it means that there's some sort of blockage. So you can go ahead and stop this stretch or switch sides, and we'll come back to it. So open for strength and close for your stretch. This one brings us into our spiritual realm again, so you can start to think a little bit again about, like, what are you using to make yourself feel fulfilled? What is it that's making you feel like you have everything you need? Do you feel like doing arts and crafts is giving you fulfillment? Do you feel like making music is giving you fulfillment? Do you feel like reading books? Do you feel like taking a bath? What is it that makes you feel really luxurious? You can think about that. How can you feed your soul during this time? By filling up all of your cups, everything that you need, with whatever it is that makes you feel really wonderful. Indulgent, right? In a good way. And let's try the other side. So bring your left arm up, grab the outside of your elbow with your other hand, try to pull both arms apart, and push open to the left this time, and then pull across to the right. You should feel this in the back of your left shoulder, right through here. You can just go back and forth. Open for strength and close for stretch. If this stretch feels good, stick with it. If it doesn't feel good, if you feel it in the front, just skip it. If it feels like you just can't go very far, that's okay. Just move in this range of motion, that's fine. If this stretch feels really good and you want to take it a step further, then go ahead and think about that like luxurious thing again. If you were at the beach and you felt really relaxed and you're like reading your favorite book and the ocean waves and the sunshine, and what is it that would make you feel like that today in your house? Would it be cooking a really great meal? Would it be taking an Epsom salt bath? Would it be watching your favorite movie like the whole time? Because you know what I did the other day? I haven't watched this movie in like forever. Out of Africa. Have you ever seen that with Meryl Streep and Robert Redford? I love that movie. It's like, gosh, it's beautiful. The music's amazing. The story is amazing. Like everything about it is just so aesthetically pleasing to me. And I watched it twice in a row, because I could, and it felt good. It felt nurturing to my soul. So what is it that would feel really nurturing to your soul? Take that. Put it in your awareness for today. Maybe make that something that you do this weekend. Especially because it's a holiday weekend, right? It may not feel like it for many people, but it's Easter weekend. This is a time when we usually have a few extra days. So if it means to you, like, watching a church service online, or hiding Easter eggs all around your house, or just taking the extra days because it's like, this is a long weekend in the real world. So how would you make this a long weekend for yourself, right? Indulge, treat yourself, right? Okay, so the next stretch we're going to do is for your chest. Speaking of treating yourself, we're going to do push-ups. It's the worst. So this is for the front of your chest, right through your pec muscles, kind of from your sternum all the way through the outside of your shoulder right here, and maybe even into your biceps. You're going to go into a plank position with your hands wide. So my hands are actually off my mat. I'm going to drop my hips down so that I'm in a full plank. I'm going to engage my transverse abdominis muscles. These are your deep ab muscles through here. I'm going to do that by pretending like I'm zipping up my tightest jeans. So if you like, whoop, zip it up, that'll engage it all. And that's going to make that plank really easy to stay in. From here, very slowly, drop your body down towards the floor by bringing your elbows straight out to the side. When you feel like you're going to lose that core strength, then push right back up. So you don't actually go all the way down to the ground, and you only want to go as far as your core will let you go. Your stretch here is happening on the way towards the floor. You should feel it across the front of your shoulders, in your chest. If you don't feel that, if you feel it in the back, then go ahead and skip this stretch. Or if this is hard on your spine, if you feel like you just really want to drop, it's okay. You could even do this on the wall. You just come up against the wall with your arms wide. You can't really see. Pretend like I'm standing up, and you can just drop into the wall like this. Okay? That actually works pretty well on your knees too. So, do what feels good to you. Down for your stretch, and up for strength. See if you can really feel these muscles engage across the front of your chest. And let's do one more, and this time really power up. Okay. Good work, guys. That is a tough one. It kicks my butt every single stinking time. You'd think after like 13 years of doing this, I would be better at push-ups, but we all have our nemesis, and that one is mine. All right, so the next stretch we're going to do is for the front of your shoulders. It goes right through here, and it goes all the way down your arm into your hands. So you're going to bring your hands behind you and your feet in front. Turn your fingers so that they're pointing toward your toes. So you're actually like this with your hands right behind you. And then from here, you can have your knees bent or straight. I just have mine straight so you can see me. Turn your shoulders in like this. So you're going to like curl into your chest, and then use your arms to push your chest up towards the ceiling and look back. So curl in and look back. You can really access this cat-cow motion in this stretch, paying attention to the flexibility of your back and your front. So check this out. From here, as I curl in, my spine curves, my pelvis tucks. As I push forward, my pelvis is going to do an anterior tilt. I'm going to feel like a back bend in my back. And I'm going to stretch out the front of my shoulders and the front of my chest. Curl in and up. If you feel like it, you can come into a table like this. That would be totally fine. You could even do a plank. That's okay too. You just do what feels good to you. The more body weight you put into it, the more resistance you have, so the deeper the stretch will be. But that's only if you really need it. This is totally fine, just like this. Curling in and opening up. Curling in. Tuck your chin, open up, look to the ceiling. You just go back and forth. And if this stretch feels good, really think about how you could nurture yourself at this time. Give yourself permission to be really lazy. Maybe take a nap today. Because you can't. But because it's Saturday, you guys. It really is. Sometimes I forget what day it is. It's Saturday. You watch cartoons. Remember those days? The good old days. All right, now we're going to stretch out the back of your shoulders through your traps and your neck. We're going to do this on our hands and knees again, mainly so that we can really focus on that spinal extension. So bring your hands in front of you. You're going to put your elbows on the ground and your fingers on the ground. And you want your arms to be parallel to each other, so they'll look like this, like two trees, straight up, not like this. Not two trees that are going to run into each other, but two trees straight up and down. If you can't get into straight up and down, go ahead and open your arms up a little wider. You should be able to do it, okay? If you can't get into this position, it's okay to skip the stretch, so don't even worry about it. Pull with your elbows towards your knees like this, but the mat will stop you. So you're gonna pull, but you're not gonna move anywhere. If you let your arms win, you'll pull your body forward so that your head wants to come down towards the mat. And then you use your lower body to pull you back. As you pull back, tuck your chin, lift your back up towards the ceiling, and try to open your elbows, but the mat won't let you. So just have that feeling of opening, but nothing happens, okay? So pull your body forward, and then use your body to pull you back. So you're just sitting down, tuck your chin, try to pull your elbows apart. And you just go back and forth, pulling forward for strength and back for stretch. You can play around with the distance of your arms to your knees. So it might feel better to have your knees closer, your arms closer to your knees to close up that distance. It might feel better to have them further apart. You can see how that feels for you. You should feel this across the back of your shoulders, kind of like where your bra strap is, or a little higher in the back of your shoulders here, maybe in your neck too. See what feels good to you. Arch your back up towards the ceiling a bit. Bring your head through. Forward for strength and back for stretch. Now, since we're in this position, we're going to do one more stretch to stretch out the back of our shoulders. Bring your hands together so that you make a fist. Your thumbs up in the air. Then sit back, and as you sit back, let your hands come up, and also let your head come up so you're looking up towards your fingers. That's going to give you that spinal extension in your back, and you'll feel that stretch across the back of your shoulders. Then from here, you're going to pump your arms back and forth, like you're trying to bring your hands together. It'll look like this. Okay? And you do that as many times as you can. You're going to feel really tired pretty quick, so just do as many as feels good to you. And then when you finish this one, bring your pinkies together and do the same direction. And then you can bring your thumbs together and the same. That one's a little harder. This might be impossible for you the first time you try it, but as you do this more and more, it'll get easier. You can try the different angles and see how it works. It's a really good endurance exercise for your shoulders. You can do as many as you want. It's up to you. Okay? All right, my friends, we're getting to the end of class, so I just want to try one more time our cow pose and see how that goes for you. So, come down all fours, your hands under your shoulders, let your feet feel flat if that feels good. Pay attention to what you feel just right now. Push your hands into the mat, get some solidness through your legs too, and then very slowly drop your belly down. Anterior, tilt your pelvis, look up towards the ceiling, see if you can find that back bend, that curve in your spine. And then push through your hands, push through your legs, try to pull your mat apart from the middle and raise your spine up towards the ceiling as you bring your head down. And then the other direction, again, keep that resistance in your legs and your hands. And let your spine do this work. By tilting the pelvis, I'm actually using my hamstrings and my hip flexors to make this work. I'm using the muscles in my arms. Just pull back and forward. Awesome. Good work, my friends. Well, we did it today. We worked on our cow pose, which was kind of fun. That was a nice challenge. We thought a little bit about guilt, resentment, what that means, finding the difference between the two and choosing the right one. We thought about awareness, bringing our emotions right to our awareness so that they can come free. We also, I'm getting a little pixelated. I hate it when this happens right when I want to show the cards. And then we thought a lot about what laziness means to us in a good way and a bad way. I'll put these pictures up in the thumbnail of this video if you want to look at them a little bit deeper. You're more than welcome. I would love some feedback for you guys about what you think about this new format. If you like it, let me know. Give me a thumbs up. If you don't, give me a thumbs down. Let me know, because, I'm playing around with different things, trying to figure out what works the best for you guys, what works the best for me, keeps us all happy and moving. Comment, share, subscribe. Don't forget to subscribe if you haven't yet. Click that little button there. And also down in the link below in my bio, there's a link to my PayPal account. I'm doing these classes free because I think this is good work for the world. But if you guys have the ability to contribute to Stretch Chi during this time, my studio is not making money right now. So if you have the ability to contribute, please do. If you don't, that's okay. I'm more than happy to get this information out to everyone who needs it. All right? All right, guys, I will see you on Monday. Have a great weekend. Happy Easter for those who are celebrating, and I'll see you later. Bye-bye.